Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. It's Friday, March 3rd, and we are standing alongside Polderbaan, runway 36 left. Currently the only runway in use for departures. And we have a couple of heavies coming this way. The first of which is Delta Airlines Flight 37, going to Orlando. It's an Airbus A330-300. 7 years old, delivered in October 2015. Now behind it is a small Embraer from KLM going to Brussels, an Embraer 190. 14 years old, delivered in November 2008, and there are two more planes following it. The 777-300ER is going to Oranjestad. And that is a 6-year-old plane delivered in January 2017, and there is a KLM 737-800 behind it going to Madrid, and that's a 14-year-old plane delivered in March 2008. Gosse, goedemiddag. Yuri, goedemiddag. Photo for you, goedemiddag. Grietje, goedemiddag. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the stream. So there's a nice lineup of planes. By the looks of it, the Embraer is coming this way and is going to start right in front of us, skipping the line before the A330. As you can see, it is cloudy. The sun was out this morning, but it's more or less overcast at the moment. Wind is still blowing from the north, few knots, nothing to write home about. Temperatures approximately 7 degrees centigrade or 44 Fahrenheit. Let's quickly turn around the camera because the A330 is already spooling up. Meanwhile, I'm already suffering from teary eyes because of the wind. 777 off to Oranjestad, to the Caribbean. Now the clouds you see in the background are high enough that we can follow the airplanes at least for the first couple of minutes. Let me turn around the camera. 737 from KLM is already lined up, ready to go. Paul Auscher, good afternoon. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. So there is an A320 from EasyJet coming after this airplane departed. Will depart to London Luton, 8 years old. And this airplane off to Madrid in Spain. EasyJet airplane taxiing in the foreground and a Dreamliner following it. The Dreamliner is a 787-10 Dreamliner going to Toronto. And that is a 3-year-old plane delivered in June 2019. And now taxiing to the threshold is an A320 from EasyJet going to London Luton, 8 years old, delivered in October 2014. Let's quickly turn around the camera. The Dreamliner ready to go. in the KLM 100 year special livery, celebrating 100 years KLM. Now there are 2 more planes coming this way quickly. First one is from British Airways and is already almost at the threshold. And the second one is KLM. Now let's see what they're going to do. Is this one going to go to the threshold as well? It is. So quickly pan back to the threshold then. And we see an Embraer from British Airways. Let me quickly have a look at flight radar. This E190 is going to London City. Is 9 years old, delivered in January 2014. Rick, goedemiddag, good afternoon. Thijs, goedemiddag, good afternoon. Mike, Wild, good afternoon. Hello from the UK, welcome. Marissa, good afternoon. Laura, welcome back. And good afternoon to you too. And away she goes. Let me quickly turn around. Another Embraer, this one from KLM, going to Valencia in Spain. 11 years old, delivered in January 2012. Meanwhile, another bird coming this way, over from the main platform area, a 737 from Turkish, going to Istanbul, 7 years old, delivered in March 2015. So in terms of runway usage, we have the same configuration as we've had during the previous few streams. That is, currently this runway is the primary runway for departures. However, at some times during the day, 09 is also being used. I think at the moment 09 is also open again. Landings are taking place on runway 24 and at moments also on runway 36 right. And by the looks of it, 09 is in use because I think there's an EasyJet A319 lining up at the moment. So we'll have to wait a little bit for the next plane to come this way. And that is most likely going to be a 777 to Curaçao, to Willemstad. Now, because runway 18 center and runway 36 center is closed for maintenance until April, if it doesn't get delayed, of course. Last week we saw that all the planes coming this way from the main platform area taxi to the south and go under runway 18 center, 36 center, so to speak. So I can already see that the 777-300 from KLM is coming this way, but it first has to go around the runway, the middle runway of the three north-south oriented runways. I think they cannot cross it right now because of the maintenance being performed. So the triple to Curaçao is only 2 years old, was delivered in January 2021. 777-300ER, the PHBVW. And there's also a 737-900 from KLM to Helsinki coming this way. Earlier when I looked at the planning, I also saw that there were a few 747-400s cargo planes that are going to depart. I'm not sure if they're going to come this way. Same goes, of course, for the Emirates A380. That is expected to depart back to Dubai around 2:30 local time. Hopefully by then 09 will be closed again, so all traffic will come this way. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, I see a lot of activity on the chat. Let me have a look. YouTube fan, good afternoon, my friend. James Critland, good afternoon. Good evening for you, South Australia. So that's 12 hours time difference or so? Is it not in the middle of the night over there? Gilson, bon dia. ATC Squid, good day. Good to see you. Velimir Stanisic, good day to you. Voter for You asks where the music is coming from. If you mean the intro music, that's in the Google library, the YouTube library, where all music that you can use for free is located. Just something I found recently. Yorkshire Biker, good afternoon to you too. Airport Holland, goedemiddag, good to see you. So two planes coming this way. The 737-900 to Helsinki from KLM is going to be first, and it's going to be followed by the 777-300 to Curaçao. There's definitely some movement in the background. You can clearly see how high the A380 is, also with the tail. Planes in the foreground. Small compared to that building block. Marissa informing us that the Suparna 747 is estimated to depart in a few minutes from now. Don't see it yet on flight radar, but hopefully we will soon enough. That's a likely candidate to depart from this runway. Art, good afternoon, goedemiddag. So I was already here this morning originally to do a morning stream, but as I was setting up and I took out my wireless router and turned it on, it said that there was no SIM card in it, so I had to go back home to put in the SIM card. So unfortunately this morning the sun was still out and now it's overcast. Not as cheerful weather-wise as it would have been this morning, but hey, can't have it all. I'm happy enough that it's still dry. We'll have to see how the weekend is going to go, because what they forecasted is wintry showers, so that doesn't sound too promising. Meanwhile, we see some movement. The two planes coming this way. Otherwise it's very quiet over here. Just two cyclists that are also coming for some plane spotting. I did see one of the Schiphol scarecrows pass by as I was setting up, but flocks of birds so far I haven't seen, luckily. Now I can see that the SkyTeam livery 737 is also taxiing to the threshold, as will this 777. Let's quickly pan a little bit forward, because the 737 is lined up and ready to go. Meanwhile, the 777 is already lined up. And ready to go. In the meantime, an Embraer 190 from KLM is taxiing this way. 9 years old, delivered in October 2013, and it's going to go to London Heathrow. So let's turn around the camera. And it's taxiing to the runway threshold by the looks of it. So we'll have to wait for the next plane to come this way. There are 2 planes coming this way for sure. Another plane to London Heathrow, an Airbus A319 from British Airways that is 21 years old, delivered in March 2001, and it's being followed by an A320-200 from EasyJet, which is off to Glasgow. That's a 7-year-old Airbus, delivered in February 2016. Martin, good afternoon. And Dan, good afternoon. And is it Igor? Privet? Don't know. I don't know all symbols in Russian alphabet, so forgive me if I mispronounce your name. But privet to you too. So there's also a Dreamliner from KLM coming this way to San Jose, a 7879 Dreamliner, 7 years old, delivered in January 2016. But the first has to go around the middle of the 3 north-south runways in order to come this way. They cannot cross and take the short route. They have to go around it, unfortunately. So business is a little slow at the moment, but don't go anywhere because more planes are underway. Meanwhile, if you're liking what you're seeing and you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. That way you can turn on notifications so that whenever I go live you get a heads up and can join us if you feel like it and have the time for it. And it also helps me to reach more people like you and me who also like content like this. And checking the app that I use that I think is connected to the website of Air Traffic Control Netherlands. They have a chart on their website showing the active runways, and there's an app that I think links to it. So that prevents me from having to surf to the website every time to check, but according to the app, 09 is still open for departures alongside 36 left. It's always the downside of having not a lot of wind, although for the sound quality, of course, this is better than when it's very windy. So the first plane, the A319 from British Airways to London Heathrow, should become visible any moment now. And there it is on the right hand side, coming this way. So again, this is a 21-year-old little Airbus, delivered in March 2001. And first the EasyJet A320 and Embraer from KLM will come before the 7879 to San Jose. We'll have to wait and see if this Airbus is going to take off right in front of us, or if it's going to taxi all the way back to the runway threshold. And looks like it's going to the runway threshold. And it seems to be holding short, or at least slowing down. So let me look behind me to the end of the runway and alongside the runway. I don't see any Schiphol scarecrows that need to clear the runway first. Maybe the pilots wanted to have the passengers have the opportunity to take in the beautiful landscape surrounding the Polderbaan. And I can see the next plane, the EasyJet A320 on my left, also coming this way. I can see that the A320 is also taxiing to the threshold in the distance. And there it is. In the meantime, the other planes are also coming this way. And the Embraer is also going to go to the threshold. And there's the triple. Where's the Dreamliner? Sorry, Dreamliner. Let's turn around the camera towards the threshold. KLM. Embraer, ready to go. And a little crane in the background. Or chauffeur, what is it? Yeah, she's rolling. Meanwhile, the Dreamliner has just turned onto the runway. No time to waste. And away she is. And unfortunately, the waiting game has begun again. The first plane to come this way is going to be a 737-800 from Ryanair off to Dublin. And it's a 16-year-old plane delivered in March 2006. And quickly taking a sip from my coffee before it starts getting cold. Guys, thanks for your encouraging words. I hope you guys are enjoying the stability of the footage of the new tripod that I bought yesterday. It feels really smooth without any hiccups in both the horizontal and vertical movement. Still a bit getting used to it, sensitivity, but it's definitely a level up. So on the right hand side of the image of the picture is the Ryanair 737 to Dublin coming this way. Lots of movement in the background, but by the looks of it, it's either incoming traffic or traffic going to the threshold of 09. Meanwhile, in the foreground, in a moment from the right, K4. Bird controller. Let me see if I can capture it. There's also a bird. Where is it? There it is. Can I still see it? There it is. Hovering still. Focus. Look at that. I don't have my hands on the camera. It just hovers like a helicopter still. Not sure if it's another falcon like the one, and there it is. Now, I'm no expert in birds. Again, my hands are off the camera. This animal is just floating still in the middle of the image for a moment. And here's another bird coming this way. A 737 from Ryanair. And by the looks of it, it's coming this way. It already has its takeoff lights on by the looks of it. ATC Suite, thank you so much for your super chat. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. I was scrolling back to the chat and I didn't see the new messages, so apologies for being a bit late with that. I was distracted by birds, living birds and steel birds. Now as it's going to Dublin, it's going to fly straight ahead until it reaches the North Sea Canal, which, if you look on the map of the Netherlands, is the canal connecting the North Sea to the Markermeer and also passes through Amsterdam. Once it reaches the canal, it'll make a left-hand turn, as it is doing right now, insofar as the camera is still able to pick it up. and head west towards the North Sea. Unfortunately, we're not able to follow the airplane anymore because of the clouds. And once again, we'll have to wait a little bit for the next plane to arrive. Still nothing to see in terms of the Suparna 747. Has it departed already? Don't see it on the map at Schiphol at the moment. I do see a few heavies coming this way. Dreamliner to Mexico, a 222 JFK, sandwiched between it a little Embraer. And I'm wondering, is that the bird that I saw hovering just now on the corner of, and I cannot zoom in any further unfortunately. By the looks of it, it is. Looks to be the predator bird that we saw hovering just now. Meanwhile, the wind is picking up a little bit. You can see the wind sack. It's not fully erect, but it's not completely wind still. Then again, if you look at the water of the little canal that I'm standing alongside, let me zoom out just a little, seems to be rather smooth. And in the distance is our first plane coming this way. That is KLM flight 685 going to Mexico City. A 7879 Dreamliner, 6 years old, delivered in September 2016. And number 2 behind it is going to be an Embraer 175 from KLM, flight 1175 to Trondheim in Norway. And that is a 5-year-old plane delivered in January 2018. Number 3 is going to be a 777-200 ER from KLM flight 641 to New York JFK. That's an 18-year-old plane delivered in March 2004. And just around the corner, on the bottom of the middle runway, so to speak, is a 737-800 from KLM going to Oslo, flight 1147. That's a 3-year-old plane delivered in March 2019. Silkway 747. Let me see, YouTube fan. Let me have a look. Where is it? I can't see the A320. There's an Embraer behind it. Ah, okay. I see where it's flying. If there's no traffic taking off right in front of me, I'll keep a close eye to the right and see if I can see the Silkway 747. Meanwhile, there's a Dreamliner going to the threshold. But let's turn around to the left because the Embraer is going to go ahead. So let's turn around the camera because there are two heavies now at and near the threshold. Here's the triple and here's the Dreamliner. Now I don't see the 747 just yet, but I'm expecting it to be number 3 or 4 or so. There are just a couple of trees behind my line of sight, or in my line of sight, I should say. Alright, let's turn around the camera. We have a Dreamliner already lined up. Still looking if I can see the 747. Not yet. Still on approach. Okay, the 737 is also ready to go. Let's flight radar. Ah, you can see that the 747 is coming. So let me just forego then this 737 as soon as I see it from behind the trees, and watch the 747 land. Visibility is good, so I should be able to see it as soon as it clears the trees that it's probably now behind. I think I see it. Now this is the most I can zoom in, unfortunately. And that was the 747. Now business is still a bit slow. I had hoped that in the meantime another plane would have come this way, but it seems we'll have to wait just a little bit longer. And meanwhile the 747 to Nanking from Suparna is active on flight radar, so hopefully it's going to come this way. Let's see. First plane to arrive probably a 737-800 from KLM. Let's see. So there is traffic underway. It's still taxiing over here. They need to take the long route today. First up is KLM 1115 to Stockholm, and it's probably being followed by an A320 from British Airways to London Gatwick, and let me see, is this Airbus to Bridgetown? That's also coming this way most likely. An A330 from KLM, flight 781. Those are probably the first ones underway. Meanwhile, the 747 from Suparna is also taxiing. Fingers crossed that it's going to come this way. So we'll have to wait a little bit, but there is traffic underway. YouTube fan confirming that Suparna is going to go to the Polderbaan. That's very good news. The 737 to Stockholm will turn around the corner on the right hand side in a few moments. A 16-year-old plane delivered in April 2006. I think the first plane is coming. Or is that another? Nah, there it is. Also, I can see the A380 from Emirates still in the background. Still hasn't left to Dubai yet. So I'm very curious if by the time it's going to get pushed back, if 09 is going to be open still. Or if it's maybe going to take off from over here. Now I can see that the 737 already has its takeoff lights on. So I'm expecting it to make a right-hand turn and come this way. And take off right in front of us. And you can wave to the pilots. So for those of you just tuning in, welcome to the stream, welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. We are standing alongside runway 36 left, the Polderbaan. Currently one of the two runways in use for departures. The sun is starting to come out again. After it was sunny this morning, things became overcast. Now there are some blue patches in between the clouds. It's approximately 7 degrees centigrade or roughly 44 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a little breeze blowing from the northeast. Nothing to write home about, but enough to make this the primary runway for departures, although 09 is the secondary runway in use and at the moment also active, unfortunately. So not all traffic departing at the moment is going to come this way. But it's a secondary runway and it's being used on and off, so hopefully it's going to close again shortly, and that will mean that all traffic will come this way, but at the moment, unfortunately, it's still not the case. Meanwhile, Airbus A330 is taxiing towards the threshold. Going to Bridgetown, this A330-200, 16 years old, delivered in April 2006. Now we've seen this before with A330s, that they don't retract their landing gear right away. And from what I understand, it's that they first need to cool the brakes that apparently have gotten too warm. So I am expecting the landing gear to retract in a few moments. If I look correctly, if I see it correctly, the landing gear has retracted in the meantime. And meanwhile, there's a 747 and the A380 is also on the move. There are two 747s coming this way. The first one, a 747-400 to Nanjing from Suparna Airlines. 31 years old, delivered in August 1991. The second one, also a 747-400, Air China Cargo, off to Shanghai. Bit younger, but still an oldie. 28 years old, delivered in February 1995. And Joseph, thanks for the information. Unfortunately, telling us that the A380 is not going to come this way. But we are seeing two 747s in a row. And also birds in the foreground. How sweet is that? Two 747s from the previous millennium coming this way. It's a shame they're not closer by each other. think I just took the picture that's going to be used as a thumbnail for this stream after I get home. A visual kiss of the two 747s. Now unfortunately I already have to turn back the camera because the next 747 is lining up at the threshold as I speak. Meanwhile, a queue is forming, but I'll show you after this departure. Now folks, if you're liking what you're seeing and you want to help me reach more people like you and me who also like content like this, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. It also allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live, you receive a heads up. And if you feel like it and have the time, join us in during a future stream. So we saw the two oldest planes in the stream so far, I think, depart back to back. Two Queens. From the previous millennium, both of them. Meanwhile, an EasyJet Airbus taking off is what you're hearing. As we say our goodbyes to this Queen. And at the threshold of the runway 36 left, ACRJ has just turned on onto the threshold. SAS flight 548 going to Copenhagen, Denmark. 6 years old, this airplane, delivered in April 2016. Two planes behind it from KLM. 737 and another 737. Two more underway. There's a third 737 coming this way, and there's an Embraer that's going to go ahead in front of the other 737s after this one has taken off, probably. Meanwhile, an Embraer landing up in front of us. Rolling start. Steep initial climb, and now you can see it's lowering the pitch a little. Let's quickly turn around the camera. The next 737 from KLM is already lined up and on the move already. No time to waste. Quickly turn around. We have another 737 from KLM, and we have the first A220 from Swiss after that. You can see this is a 700. Short fuselage. Or is it? Is it an 800? Now I'm starting to get confused. It was looking like a 700, but as it passed by, I started having doubts. The A220 already lined up at the threshold, and there's a triple coming after that, and another 737 by the looks of it. These airplanes are so quiet. Not sure if you guys can hear the difference as well, but now, as the Qatar triple is taxiing towards the threshold, the 737 is coming this way to go ahead in front of it. My apologies if I don't have the time to timely react to all your chats or look at Flight Radar to all the details. It's a little bit busy at the moment, but better like so. And having to wait for when the next plane is going to show up. And there's a second 777 taxiing towards the threshold. China Southern Cargo. Meanwhile, the Qatar triple is already lined up. Let me quickly have a look. It's going to Doha. 7 years old, delivered in February 2016. Now quickly turn around to the threshold where the next 777 is already waiting to go. This is a China Southern Cargo 777 that is 13 years old, delivered in August 2009. We have a 737 from KLM lined up at the threshold going to Munich in Germany, 22 years old, delivered in July 2000. So for those of you who just joined us, welcome to the stream, welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. It's Friday, March 3rd. We're standing alongside runway 36 left, where departures are taking place. and seeing how busy it's become, my guess is that this is the only runway in use at the moment for departures, whereas earlier this afternoon 09 was also in use. Haven't had the time yet to confirm it on flight radar or in the chat. Given that there are a lot of planes coming and there's almost constantly a line forming for the threshold, my guess is this is now the only runway in use. Wind is blowing from the north-northeast, not too hard, a few knots. Weather is calm otherwise. It's cloudy, although there are some blue patches of sky between the clouds. Temperature approximately 7-8 degrees centigrade, so 44-46ish Fahrenheit. No precipitation in the forecasts for today, although that is going to change over the weekend. Wintry showers are expected, I think, as of Sunday, maybe on Monday too. Meanwhile, there's also an airplane waiting to line up over here, the Embraer. Don't see any lights on just yet, contrary to the 737 that just turned onto the threshold. So this one is going to go first. An A320neo off to Kuwait City most likely, although I didn't have the time to check. Now the Embraer is lining up. Let's turn around the camera quickly. At the threshold we have another Airbus ready. This one is from Lufthansa. Going to Munich, an A321. This airplane is 11 years old, delivered in June 2011. Quickly turning around to the threshold where Royal Jordanian is waiting to go. Probably to Amman. Let me quickly see. Yep, to Amman. This airplane is 11 years old, delivered in September 2011. Now another Embraer is going here onto the runway. Looking back towards the main platform area, I can see a Dreamliner coming this way. Looking at the threshold, there is another KLM Embraer already on the move. No time to check the details. Now, here's the next plane. We have a moment of relative quiet. Good to see so many people active in the chat. Laura informing us that it is in fact an A350. I was mistaken. I thought it was a Dreamliner, but it is the A350 to Detroit from Delta Airlines. 5 years old, delivered in January 2018. And there's another 747-400 active. China Airlines cargo to Bangkok. I think that's also a likely candidate to depart from over here. Let's quickly pan around the camera to the right to the A350. The first A350 of the day. We've had two queens back to back. If you guys missed it, make sure to look back the stream. Don't know exactly when it was, but we did have two back to back 747-400s taking off. We haven't seen any A350s yet, so this is going to be the first one. Delta still operates a lot of A330s of the old type on their destinations over here. But luckily we see the Neos, the A330 Neos and the A350s more and more. A lot of brake dust. But at least they don't have to be cooled and can be retracted right away. Which is more than we can say from that A330 that we saw earlier. Although I did think it retracted the landing gear eventually after it started its left-hand turn. I cannot recall having seen other airplanes take off and not retract their landing gear because of brake heating issues other than the A330. If you guys know if this also occurs sometimes with other airplane types, make sure to let me know, because now that I think about it, I can only recall ever having seen it happen with the A330s. So this A350 we now see in the distance is flying north, and it's making a left-hand turn right now, so it's approximately above the North Sea Canal, which is the canal that you, if you look on the map of the Netherlands, you see connecting the North Sea to the west of the Netherlands and the inland lake called Markermeer. The canal also passes through Amsterdam, where it's called IJ, and gone into the clouds. So we'll have to wait a little bit for the next plane to come this way. The plane's coming this way, and here's the first one. Need to go around runway 36 center because of maintenance. 36 center closed until, well, at least according to the planning, somewhere in April. But with construction in the Netherlands, you always have to take the planning with a grain of salt. Obviously they will do their best to have it done before the deadline, but if it's anything like normal housing construction, I wouldn't be surprised if the runway might stay closed for a bit longer. But ordinarily, planes coming this way, they cross the runway, the center runway, the center north-south runway, in the middle, so to speak, cutting it short, and now they have to go around it. So it takes a little longer for them to taxi over here, but you can recognize more quickly what planes are coming this way if you look at flight radar, for instance. because of the taxi pattern, you can immediately see that they're not going to 09, for instance. So the next plane coming this way is a 777-200 from KLM, flight 671 to Montreal. That's a 16-year-old plane, delivered in January 2007. And it's become visible just now. Meanwhile, the third 747 of today is also making its way over here. China Airlines Cargo off to Bangkok. It's a relatively young plane, 18 years old, only 18 years old, delivered in May 2004. And seems that there's also a Saudia Dreamliner to Jeddah coming this way, although it still has to go around 36 Center. Right, we're awaiting the 747 to Bangkok. It's going to enter our view any moment now. Boeing 737-800 from Transavia behind it. It's going to go to Lanzarote. It's a 7-year-old plane, was delivered in April 2015. And there are a few other planes also underway, but not yet visible. The next plane that is going to turn around the corner on the right hand side, not yet, but in a few moments, is going to be Saudia flight 216 to Jeddah. That's 7879 Dreamliner. 4 years old, delivered in March 2018. And another 737 from Transavia to Innsbruck in Austria is coming behind it. So number 4, the Transavia to Innsbruck, 13 years old, delivered in June 2009. And the Dreamliner in the distance also visible. Now, I am no plant buff by any means, but is that a lotus on the tail, or is it a different flower? As the 747 still makes its way over to the runway threshold, the Transavia 737 seems to be coming this way. And here's the third queen of the day, ladies and gentlemen. The youngest of the bunch. Now folks, if you're liking what you're seeing, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live you get a heads up. And it also helps me to reach more people like you and me who also like content like this. Let's quickly turn around. No time to waste. The Saudia Dreamliner underway. to Jeddah. Meanwhile, we have another Transavia 737 on its way to Austria, to Innsbruck, waiting to go. There's also another Embraer, an E195 by the looks of it, if I look at the size of the engines and the fuselage length. There's another 737 taxiing this way, which already has its lights on, so I'm guessing it's going to come over here. But not before the 737 takes off. And I can see that the Ryanair 737 is taxiing towards the threshold. So, no cutting in line. It'll have to wait its turn. Quickly back to the threshold. Ryanair 737 ready to go. Let's turn around the camera quickly. We have another queue forming. And there's an Embraer waiting to go. This Embraer is going to Gdansk in Poland. 13 years old, delivered in January 2010. And behind it, an EasyJet to Lisbon, A320. Back to the threshold. EasyJet A320 off to Lisbon. "11 years old, was delivered in May 2011. Next up, another Embraer E95, E2 and E195 I should say, to Aalborg, 1 year old, delivered in January 2022. Three more planes making their way over here. There's a 737 from Egypt Air taxiing towards the threshold. We have an Embraer from KLM following it. And in the distance, another Embraer from KLM. First up, the Egypt Air 737, now almost at the threshold, going to Cairo, 737-800. It is 6 years old, delivered in January 2017. Back to the threshold. For this KLM Embraer to Frankfurt. 6 years old, delivered in May 2016. Early rotation before it got behind the red and white boxes. Quickly back. We have an Embraer skipping the line before another Embraer over at the threshold. And the next Embraer is already waiting at the line at the threshold and on the move. Back-to-back action once again. Capturing just a small slither of sunlight as it climbed out. Meanwhile, the next KLM airplane making its way over to the threshold. A 737. Let me quickly have a look at flight radar. This is a 700 going to Glasgow, 14 years old, delivered in March 2009. And we have another moment of quiet before the next plane comes. And the next plane is another 737 from KLM. Let's see. There's a whole slew of airplanes coming this way, so it's going to be back-to-back action again very quickly. I really haven't had time to look at all the chats, but everybody welcome who is new to the channel or who just tuned in. Welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing alongside runway 36 left, the Polderbaan, where departures are taking place. It's the furthest removed runway from the main platform area, which is why you can see them all taxi this way in the distance. We have a 737 to Aberdeen coming in first from KLM. 22 years old, delivered in May 2000. It's being followed by British Airways, an Embraer 190 to London City. That's 13 years old, delivered in January 2010. The third plane, just going around the corner in the distance, is an EasyJet to London Stansted, an A319, 14 years old, delivered in January 2009. And the fourth plane is a heavy Emirates Sky Cargo off to Frankfurt, 777, 9 years old, delivered in September 2013. Now, if you guys are enjoying this stream, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live in the future, you receive a heads up. It also helps me to reach more people like you and me who like content like this. In the foreground, we see K2, one of the Schiphol K4, sorry. Looked like a 2, but it is a 4. One of the pickup trucks from the Amsterdam Schiphol bird controllers, who work 24/7 to prevent bird strikes from happening as much as possible. If we look back towards the main platform area, we see the EasyJet A319, and in the distance we see the Emirates Sky Cargo. There's another KLM 737 by the looks of it following it. Meanwhile, the Embraer from British Airways is making its way over to the threshold, the one off to London City. lot of fuel and cargo on board, was airborne rather quickly. Back at the threshold, the next plane off to London. This one Stansted. If you can still call that London, of course. Still quite far removed from the city center. Same with Luton. Would be like calling Brussels Airport Amsterdam South, more or less. The same with Tokyo Narita. They call it Tokyo, but in fact it's quite far removed from the actual city limits. Well, the lights are on, and so is the thrust. Meanwhile, the 737 from KLM skips the line before the 777 that is now lining up at the runway threshold. You can see the lights go on. Off to a rolling start. So I'm expecting a short takeoff roll for this airplane because it is going to Frankfurt. So not too far away. Unless of course it's fully loaded with cargo. Two planes coming this way. Pegasus Air, KLM. Pegasus going to the threshold. And the Embraer, by the looks of it, as well. The Pegasus Air is an A320neo off to Istanbul, Turkey. 4 years old, delivered in March 2018, and behind it the KLM City Hopper, an Embraer 175 over to Cardiff. So basically just across the pond, small pond, the North Sea. 6 years old, delivered in February 2017. Meanwhile, the Cardiff bound Embraer also going. Turning around back to the threshold, there is an Airbus. I was about to say Embraer, but this is of course an Airbus from Vueling to Valencia, by the looks of it. Once again, going back towards the runway threshold. A Boeing 737 from KLM off to Prague, 737-800, 14 years old, delivered in May 2008. Hardly any time to look up all the data, let alone look at all the chats. I can see that it's active this afternoon. My apologies if I didn't respond to anything you were telling me or asking me. Has been rather busy behind the camera this afternoon. Hope you guys are enjoying the footage that I'm making today for the first time with my new tripod. I have to say, it was a little getting used to in the beginning, but It's definitely a level up in terms of the smoothness of the controls. Meanwhile, two more planes making their way to the threshold, a third one in the distance coming this way. The first airplane to go to the runway threshold is an EasyJet Airbus A319 off to London Luton, 16 years old, delivered in April 2006. It's being followed by a KLM 737-800 off to Manchester, and that is 23 years old. It was delivered in June 1999. Let me turn around the camera once more towards the threshold because the next airplane is already lined up and about to go. Once more back to the threshold. We have a KLM Embraer that is off to London City. An Embraer 190, 12 years old, delivered in August 2010. Back towards the main platform area, we can see 3 planes coming this way. All Embraers by the looks of it. And this Embraer 190 is 13 years old, delivered in September 2009, going to Leeds. So it's all UK bound. Meanwhile, the next one also seems to be making its way over here. Quickly took a picture. A backup option as a thumbnail if the kissing 747s is not going to be good enough. Wave at the pilots. Almost see them reach for the ceiling to turn on all the lights when they get the clearance. It doesn't stop. There are two more planes coming this way. Let's see. The first one is an Embraer 190 from KLM off to Oslo. 11 years old, delivered in January 2012, and the second airplane is from Aer Lingus, an A320 off to Dublin, 17 years old, delivered in March 2005. Now folks, these are the last two planes I think I'm going to be shooting. My hands are getting a bit cold. I think it's time for me to wrap up after these two. Nice to see all those Embraers not going all the way to the threshold, but lining up in front of us and taking off right in front of us. This is the maximum zoom my camera can do, so unfortunately we cannot look the pilot straight into the eyes, but we can get nice close-ups. Erling is also lining up over here. Okay, well, there's another Embraer coming this way. Obviously, would be a waste to stop the stream and not capture this one because it's a very pretty one in the SkyTeam livery. So as this Embraer in the SkyTeam livery takes off, I want to thank everybody who tuned in this afternoon for joining me. I've had a blast once again, particularly with my new tripod. Very pleased with it. Hope you guys enjoyed the footage. Much less shaky than it was with the old tripod I had. For those of you who didn't join the channel yet, consider subscribing if you like what you saw. Allows you to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live in the future, you guys get a heads up. And if you have the time and you feel like joining us, you're welcome to do so. For now, I'm gonna say goodbye. I wish you guys a good weekend. I'm not sure yet when my next stream is going to be. I am looking for somewhere later in the weekend, but that depends on the weather. Unfortunately, they do predict wintry showers, so if I can, I'll be back, and if not, then at least sometime soon. For now, take care, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye bye.